I'm talking about young shakes. 502 represent. Just a change. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city. Dog, I ain't never.
Hello, this is Lacy Rice with Rice Fame Group. And today is our fourth episode of Chat with HBCU Champions. Today we have Coach Dr. Reeshemah Johnson from Fayetteville State University, and she won the 2021 CIAA Volleyball Championship this year. So how are you doing today, Coach Johnson?
I am wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And we definitely congratulate you on your victory and your success this year. And we look forward for this interview. And so let's go ahead and get this thing started.
Okay.
So, Coach, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm originally from Kingston, Jamaica. I came to Fayetteville State, as a matter of fact, on a volleyball scholarship. And so I've been here since my undergraduate days, played volleyball here, helped win the university's first ever CIAA Volleyball Championship in my second year. So that was awesome. I also played for the Jamaican national volleyball team for a couple of years before that. And while I was here, so I do have that experience as well. And so those are the experiences that I brought to the coaching position. When the position became available, I saw it as an opportunity to jump in and give back to my alma mater, share, my experiences. And it's just been a wonderful experience for me.
Okay. So, what can you tell us about your season this year? What were some of your biggest victories besides the conference championship?
I think my biggest victory, apart from the conference championship, was getting my team to a space where I wasn't as important as I usually am to gameplay. Prior to that, I was kind of used to running up and down the sidelines, being all up in it. I was the seventh man on the court, And this year, I had a different group, so I took a different approach, took a step back and allowed them, to lead and to do what they needed to do on the court. And so this was the first year I was able to sit on the sidelines, cross my legs, cheer them on. We did what we needed to do in practice, and then we were able to go on court and take care of business. So I think that was my biggest victory this year, other than winning championships.
Okay. Well, please tell us about some of your athletes.
Oh, I had a wonderful group of athletes this year. I had Denisha Miller. She returned because we won championship in 2019 as well. There was no season in 2020, so she returned. She was the tournament player of the year 2019, and she was tournament player of the year again 2020. And she was just, when I say key, I mean key, clutch, integral. She was like my coach on the court. She took care of making sure that the team did what they were supposed to do on the court, off the court, kept them accountable, established a culture of work, discipline, and competition. And so she was really, really instrumental to us winning both championships. But this year, even more so, she took on a really big leadership role. So she was key for us. We had these girls, it's just so many of them. We had our returning freshman of the year from 2019, Cassandra Watson. And she struggled at the very beginning. She actually lost her spot to some people who came in. And by tournament time, she was just, wow, she was killing it. So she really worked to get back to where she was in 2019. Because, 2020 killed us. But she worked really hard to get back to where she was 2019, and she killed it. We had a couple of other returners, Ncaa Richardson. She was key on the back row, my libero of the year from 2019, Jasmine Jacinto. I mean, she was just, woo! She also had a rough start and just came back, reclaimed her spot, and just never relinquished it. So all of those, my returners from 2019 just brought all of that back into 2021, and just my returners, they say they put my returners in line, and we just kept moving. Got a couple of key transfers. Kayla Vanderhorst, um, Bailey Robinson. Oh, and I can't forget my ex Amanda Spikes. You see her last name? Spikes, ex Amanda Spikes. I mean, what a coincidence. But that girl, I mean, she came in as a freshman also, and she has been a conference standout since then. My girl Ashlyn, I call her my big man. Um she's the one. She talks like a little more. She's so quiet, but she carries a big stick, boy. You know, she just keeps the little jokers in line. And so she was also a really big influence on this team. So I would just say it was an all around team effort. I hate if I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but I don't want to take up the whole interview. But they were all, I mean, everybody contributed in practice. They say iron sharpens iron, you know. So in practice, they were competing. Everybody was playing for that spot, and everybody got better as a result. It was just awesome.
Okay, okay. Well, don't worry about the interview. This is your time, and you know the spotlight is on you. And so, anything that you want to discuss or talk about, you know, like I said, it's your time. It's your time. And so, what can you tell us about your conference?
Well, like I told you, I came here to Fayetteville State on a volleyball scholarship way back in '95. um, and when I came in, the conference just was it was all right. It was an emerging conference in terms of volleyball. Um, but what I've seen over the years is I've seen growth. I've seen where teams are becoming a whole lot more competitive. I see where institutions are putting more resources into volleyball because, of course, before it was just football and basketball. That's it. But I see where there's more equity in athletics across the conference, and it's showing our conference volleyball wise, it's just getting so much stronger. And that's what I would like to see keep going. I just want us to keep getting stronger. I want us to be one of the premier volleyball conferences in D2.
Okay. So, how did you fare in the NCAA championships?
Well, having won the CIAA championship, we received an automatic bid to the regional tournament. And so we went to regionals for the fourth time this year. We went in my first year that we won the tournament coaching was 2012, and we had an amazing team that year. What killed us was that, that's the first time we'd ever been to regionals, right? So everybody went to Doha and which is telling you like, regionals. So we didn't do as well as we would have liked to done, but we were competitive. And that was a great group of girls. But like I said, it was just our first time. We went back 2013, but going back 2013, we had lost quite a number of key players. So even though we were still fairly strong, it just still like we were back at regionals for the first time. You know what I mean? So 2019, we went back to regionals for the first time. You get the trend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So coming back in 2020 and returning most of the team from 2019 was huge. It was big because they weren't as, caught, they weren't as much as like deer caught in headlights when they got there. They went last year with 2019. They saw what it was like and were like, hey, we can do this. We can be competitive. And they came back. And when I say they worked hard, I mean they worked hard towards that goal. And we went back to the tournament this year. And it was awesome. They played. They never gave up. We lost, but we won because we played. We competed. We never gave up. And at the end of the tournament, a number of people were telling me, they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best team we've ever seen come out to the CIAA." So I think they were impressed with the fact that we came in and we competed. We just didn't lay down and play dead because normally, that's what you do after the first set. You try and then you're like, oh, we can't do it. But that's what you get when you go back consistently. So that's something that we really have to work on in this conference is being more competitive regionally so that we can be represented at the regional tournament more consistently.
Okay. So yeah, I've talked to other volleyball coaches over the years, and primarily HBCU volleyball coaches, and they had that philosophy as well that they took their lumps early in the year by playing some of the top regional teams so that they can get higher ranking. If they came out of the conference, because it always seems that, at least to me, that for HBCUs, their teams end up playing the top team in the regional in the opening match.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time. They don't, and the rationale they give us is that we're not playing regional competition during the years, So this year, 2021, we were able to get in one regional match. We went up to Shippensburg in Pennsylvania. We played some tournaments outside of our conference. So, like I said, we really tried to get some good competition out, early in the conference, early in the season. And so this year, that's what we're trying to do. So I've already secured opening tournament a spot in the tournament up in Clarion, Pennsylvania. So there'll be a number of regional teams there. There'll also be teams who rank in their region elsewhere. So it'll be really good competition for us. And I think that you're right. That's the route we have to take. We have to start playing more regional tournaments. And then that kind of shows our regional competition. And then that would kind of tell us where we are, what we need to do so that we don't go every year the first time and go play the number one seed,
And I asked this of a coach in my first interview. How beneficial do you think it would be to have an all HBCU tournament that consists of HBCUs of different levels and governing bodies such as NAIA, NCAA, USCAA, and NCCAA? Do you think a tournament like that would be beneficial? If nothing else, just for the exposure.
I'm kind of torn on that one. And the reason I am torn is because, what we just said about HBCUs is traditionally we're not volleyball powerhouses, and so I worry about what it would look like having just HBCUs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we can't play volleyball. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm just saying that we'd have to be strategic about it. It couldn't just be free play, if you know what I mean. There would have to be some standard as far as the level of competition is concerned. That way, when we expose that to the public, we're exposing quality competition. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to get anywhere if we're not showing good volleyball. So that would be my concern with it. I think it would be a great idea if we are exposing good volleyball at the HBCU level. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Showing that, Black girls can play. Black girls really can play volleyball. But I think there would have to be some level of selectivity in it to ensure that we are promoting the best of what we can do in the sport. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was a politically correct answer, but that's how I feel.
Well,
it actually, because I did receive an invitation, but it was kind of late in the game. I did receive an invitation where somebody, and I forget who it was trying to put together something like that, a tournament with HBCUs. It was just that I had already committed to another tournament already, so I couldn't participate in that. But, I told them, please, by all means, keep me in mind for next year because, if we do it right, I think it would be extremely beneficial for us. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I believe the coach said that Edward Waters, I believe, was trying to do something like that for next year.
And I think that might have been one. That might have been one of the people who sent that out. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That might have been who it was. Yes.
Okay. So, being from Jamaica,
yeah.
Of course, Jamaica is known primarily for track and field. How big is volleyball down there? I mean, you have the beaches and everything else, and just lovely down there. The pictures and things that we see. How big is volleyball in Jamaica?
Well, when I was playing volleyball was still an emerging sport when I came up when I was in high school. Matter of fact, when I started playing volleyball in high school, I started playing volleyball my last year of high school, so it wasn't something that's as grassroots as it is here where, at 3 years old, people have a volleyball. It wasn't like that. It was my last year in high school that I picked up volleyball. And so I think that it has gotten better, but it's still not very big outside or prior to the high school level. I know when I was there, we had a thriving club circuit. And when we say club, it was non-professional, but, it was just, you graduated from high school, you want to keep playing volleyball. So we had, a club circuit. I'm not sure, to be honest, what it's looking like right now. From what I see, it's still thriving. It's still growing. I think they just need to, of course, invest in it. It's still no track and field, right? It's still no soccer. It's still no cricket, so we're still trying to grow. But I do want to point out that, one of the top D1 teams this year had a Jamaican player, Louisville. She was Ncaa Jones. She's Jamaican. As a matter of fact, she's the daughter of one of my club teammates, one of my best friends, Paula and Porter Jones, and John Jones. But she played on that Louisville team, and she was one of the top players in the nation. So there is great potential there. We just have to harness it.
Okay. Well, Louisville just happens to be one of my other alma maters. And I was in that athletic department for a while, and did meet the volleyball. I met all the coaches because we all had to take those NCAA rule and compliance classes together all the time.
Yes.
And so I think I'll be more encouraged, especially considering how well they did this year. Had the best season ever. I'm going to definitely pay more attention to them for next year, and hopefully I will meet her.
Oh, well, I think she's a senior this year. But
okay.
Yeah, they've been climbing the ranks. 2019, they came out and shocked everyone. 2020. They did even better, and then 2021 they just had like a dream season. It was cut short early, but it was just a dream season. Only undefeated team in the nation at one point, But yeah, so like I said, we have some caliber there.
Okay.
Some good representation.
Okay. All right. So now you are in an HBCU conference in a state that has lots of HBCUs, but also has a very strong PWI. So in fact, Fayetteville is part of the University of North Carolina system. What's it like to recruit, having to recruit against the North Carolinas and Dukes and also the Winston-Salems and all these other universities? I mean, you have so many there in North Carolina in itself.
Yeah, and then not only are there so many in North Carolina, Carolina, there's so many in neighboring states as well, and they come poaching, you know. Um, so it's tough to try to recruit from this area. It really is, especially when the girls have talent. Um, North Carolina is not a volleyball state per se, you know, not like a California where, you know, everybody's walking around with a beach volleyball. And it's not that big of a volleyball state. It's growing, but it's not that big of a volleyball state. And so the pool that we have to recruit from in state is not as big as some other states who are, you know, historically volleyball powerhouses. But it's tough. You know, you go to these tournaments and you're walking around, you know, and there goes, you know, the head coach from Carolina, there goes the head coach from Duke, there goes the Clemson coach, there goes the, and they're like, I mean, sure, there goes the Pitt coach, there goes, you know, because what we're trying to do, one of the things we have to do, if even in our conference, is to recruit quality players, you know, and so we're having to compete with these universities because a lot of the girls, you know, as everybody wants to go D1, you know, whether they're really D1 or not, everybody wants to go D1, right? And so what I was finding is, you know, these girls would rather walk onto a D1 team, sit on the bench, then come to us on a full scholarship. And I'm talking about not just, you know, everybody, not just white girls, black girls, everybody would rather go sit on that bench at a D1, walk on, pay money, than come to an HBCU on a scholarship and compete. You know, it's just that mentality that D1 is where it is. The D2 has made a push. You know, I choose D2, and I think that it is helping. People are understanding that D2 is not less than D1. And so that's the messaging that we're having to put out there is that, you know, I have to sell my program. My program is a competitive program. We're building my program. The aim is not just to go, you know, ride the bus and eat dinner. That's not the aim. The goal is we want to go to regionals. We want to go to nationals. You know, we want to build a program, take it somewhere. And so that's how we have to sell it so that these girls know. And of course, you know, you have to win because if you're not winning, they're not coming, right? So that these girls know that they are coming into a competitive program. They're coming to play, they're coming to compete, and that's what it is. You know, everybody wants to, you know, go on these overseas trips, and you know, we can't do that right now. But if you come to us, you'll be in a competitive program. You'll be playing in a competitive program. You know, and you'll be taken care of because you know we're really big on life and the balance. So, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize what a D1 athlete has to do, you know, what being a D1 athlete entails. And sometimes they just, you know, it takes them a while to understand that D2 is a better fit. So, back to the question, it's tough. It's really tough recruiting against all these other teams. And then, like you said, there are the other D2 teams, the Winston-Salems, you know, the Shaws, the Senogs, the J.C. Smiths that are right here, you know. And then we're in little old Fayetteville. We're not in Charlotte. We're not in Raleigh. We're not on the beach, you know. So we have to work extra hard to get them here. So it's really tough. So one thing that I'm really, really excited about is that our administration right now is really keen on us improving and building this program. So they're supportive of us expanding our our geography in terms of recruiting and going out and bringing good athletes to Fayetteville State. So that's exciting. That's an exciting development moving forward.
Okay. Well, that's a great segue into my next question, which is about the NCAA transfer portal, since there has been changes over the last couple of years. How has that affected your program?
Oh, the transfer portal has been a boom. For my program, that's all I can say, right? The NCAA really has made it a little bit easier for student athletes who aren't comfortable where they are to move to somewhere where they'll feel a little bit more comfortable or that's a better fit. And so having access to the portal, um, is great because, you can see student athletes who are available all over the country, you know. Um, and the only thing is, I'm not the only one with access to the portal. Everybody else has it. But COVID, I think, is really what the COVID, I think, is really what has been most beneficial for us. Everybody's talking about the portal, but it's not necessarily the portal because, like I said, everybody has access to the portal. It's that COVID, everybody getting that extra year back. There was like, there were athletes who didn't have anywhere to go. People were staying for their extra year at the university, so the universities weren't able to bring in athletes. So there were athletes who just didn't have anywhere to go. So, there was an abundance of athletes then, that you could try to recruit from. And so we were able to get, like I said, some quality D1 transfers, like I said, where Fayetteville State might just be a better fit for them, you know. Um, and they've come in and they have just blossomed. I mean, they're playing well, they're doing well in school, they're having fun. Like I said, that D1 life is rough in those streets. And so they find more of a balance here. So I know a couple of my coaches in the CIAA were, looking at my roster and looking at how many transfers I had and everything and complaining. I'm like, well, y'all had access to the same portal I had access to. What y'all fussing about? And like I said, it's not like what you call it, Iko Jones. Like I said, my girl from Louisville. It's not like she was transferring here. It was people who, like I said, D2 is a better fit for them. This is where they flourished. Quality athletes, but D2 is a better fit. Um, so the portal, I think, will open that up for us, is that we'll have more access to some of those athletes that, we might not have known about before. And of course, it benefits the athletes because it gives them that exposure. Coaches can now see them and know that they're, available for transfer.
Okay. So another major NCAA development that's happened over the last couple of years is athletes being able to control their images and profit from their images. How has that worked, or how has that affected you at Fayetteville State?
I can't speak for any other sport because I'm not sure, but for me, um, you know, it hasn't trickled down to us yet. Let's put it that way. So the girls, they're aware of it. They see it happening. Um, Again, volleyball is not one of the big sports. You see all these basketball players and football players having these NIL deals and stuff, but volleyball is not quite as big in volleyball yet. And I suspect, and this is just what I suspect, is that um, it will probably emerge even in beach volleyball more than it will, or before it will, in indoor volleyball. Seeing student athletes getting contracts. That's just what I think because beach volleyball has that huge following and that huge sponsorship base, etc. So that's just what I see happening. No, we don't have beach volleyball, so we just have to wait until all that trickles down to indoor. One of the things that will help us is that there is a professional volleyball league that's being developed for the United States. So, normally when people wanted to go play after college, they'd have to go overseas. Well, now they're working on bringing that here, and I think that's going to be a huge development, and that's where you'll start to see student athletes being able to benefit from their name, image, and likeness.
Okay. Well, and that's amazing. I'm glad that you brought that up about the professional league, because I guess I would think that we would have had that by now here in the United States, considering uh, if you go all the way back to like what, the early 70s, One of well, I consider, I know you're in North Carolina, and I know Michael Jordan is everything down there. I was actually born in around where you are now,
Oh,
and so and I love Jordan to death. However, I still believe that Wilt Chamberlain is the GOAT. And Wilt Chamberlain was not only considered the best basketball player ever, he's also considered the best volleyball player ever. So, volleyball was big when he played on the men's side. And so as big and popular as women's volleyball is here in the United States, I'm just surprised that it's just now that someone is trying to bring it here professionally, and I think that will help a lot. I saw what the WNBA did
yes.
for women's collegiate basketball. I mean, it was big. Kentucky State, my alma mater's women were the first ones to win a national championship in women's basketball. But the year before that, they had a player named Linnell Jones. Well, Linnell played overseas, and overseas in Italy, she was the best player in the world. Now, Linnell is 63 years old now, and I was following her. I was looking at her Instagram page, and she's still playing.
Oh, but that's the thing about volleyball, though. I mean, that's the thing about volleyball. I've played for so long. I have really bad knees, but I can still hop on a volleyball court in a heartbeat. We have senior leagues. You can play volleyball your entire life. That's the thing about volleyball. Everybody can't go out there and, play basketball, play football. After a while, you just have to give that thing up. Volleyball, you can actually play that your whole life. So it is a lifelong sport. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, because when I was younger in school, volleyball was one of those sports that we were taught in PE. And so I said, it's amazing. I learned to play. I learned a lot of the rules and everything. One of the former CIAA coaches, she's talked to me about officiating, and even when I was teaching in high school, I know a few people were trying to get me to become an official for volleyball. And it was like, yeah, in Kentucky, that's the easiest money for an official because you get paid so much, but the matches are so short.
Right.
So I don't know about now if it's still one of those sports that's being taught in physical education classes, but I know it's very easy to pick up. To me, it was fun. I had a blast, just playing in PE. And being as short as I am, I'm like, I'm 5'4". I say I'm 5'4", but but I'm 5'4", and back then was able to get up there and spike the ball and everything.
Exactly.
I mean, enjoyed it.
Exactly. It's a sport for everybody. Everybody can enjoy it. And like you said, it's just a little surprising that it's taking so long for volleyball to really explode, because it is a sport for everybody. And like I said, you can play it anywhere. And it's a lifelong sport. So it's just really surprising that it's taken so long for volleyball, especially in the US, to explode. But like I said, I think that league will really add a lot of exposure. And the fact that this year's Division I volleyball tournament had the highest spectatorship, the highest viewership ever, and so I think that's something that we really need to capitalize on. Right here at the university, people like winners. So people will come out and they'll come watch our games. And then I was teaching volleyball classes. And, they come to the class, they sign up and come learn to play. So the class was really starting to pick up. It was filling up and stuff because people were getting really excited about volleyball. So I think we just need to keep that ball rolling and keep that momentum going.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I would imagine that one of the reasons why the ratings were so high this year for women's volleyball was the carryover from the Olympics and watching those amazing women go out there and win the gold medal and for the first time ever and the amazing journey that their coach had gone on and I mean that to me and I'm a track and field person, but that was as exciting as track and field to me this year.
Yeah, because the sport is evolving. The girls are getting stronger. They're getting it's a whole lot more exciting. It's more akin now to the men's game because everybody liked the men's game because boom, boom, boom. So everybody loves that. So with improvements in technology and just training systems and nutrition and programs overall, the athletes are getting better, and so the sport is getting better. So it's now a very big spectator sport. And they changed a couple of the rules. I don't know if you remember the rules from back then, but like for instance, when I started playing, we used to have what was called side out scoring. So you had to side out the other team and serve in order to win a point. So you could only win a point on your own serve. Now you have rally point scoring where every serve is a point. So it's a much more it's more fast, it's more spectator friendly. Like I said, the girls are hitting the balls harder. The back row is more athletic. They're doing more athletic stuff. They have stopped policing the game as much as they used to, so there aren't as many whistle interruptions. It's just getting a whole lot more spectator friendly, and so you see that spectator base is growing. So it's really an exciting time for volleyball in general.
Well, yeah, I came up around that same time, or probably even a little earlier than you. So I do remember how the scoring was, and it and I had to question myself quite a few times as to, hold up, I thought only this team was supposed to score. So it took a little while for me to adjust to that. But like you said, it is fast and exciting, and like I said, that that match, that championship match for the U.S. I mean, it was so exciting and emotional, and your best, you were rolling along great, at the beginning of the tournament, then all of a sudden your best player goes out, she's hurt, and another key player is hurt. Then your best player comes back right in time for the championship. It was
dramatic. It was really dramatic.
Yes. And so do your players do they keep up with other levels like that? Were they watching that as well, to your knowledge?
I'm gonna tell you what, it's so weird that you say that because it's something that I preach to my players. I'm like, you can't tell me you want to be great, but you're not watching volleyball at a higher level. How can you be great if you don't know what great looks like? Because it sure isn't what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? This is volleyball. This isn't the best of volleyball. So if you want to be your best, you have to see what the best look like. And so what I do with my girls is we'll have watch parties. So we watch the games together. So yes, they're watching it because we watch them together.
Well, I guess that's one way of doing it.
Oh yeah.
And so, do your players have aspirations of playing at the next level, or are they just okay?
Yeah, they do. I have a couple of girls, like I said. I have some really good girls on this team, and I know they do. Some of them do have aspirations of going on to play at least, if not professionally, semi-professionally, So, and I think they can. I mean, they're really athletic, they're strong, their IQ is good. So I think they can do it. And I think, like I said, with this league coming, it will open up some options for them. Because, overseas is so far away, whereas that league would be right here. And again, it's just a matter of getting them that exposure. Because, if nobody's seeing them, then it's difficult for them to move on. But yes, we do have that aspiration, and that's good, right? And that's why you want to watch volleyball at a higher level, so you know what volleyball at a higher level looks like, so you know what you need to be doing, so that once you finish here, you're ready to move to the next level. So yes, we do have that on our radar as well.
Okay. And so now, as far as those players on the next level, and let's say, because you did come from another country, is it common for players in other countries to go straight from high school or secondary school right into the pros, or do they normally take a stop into post-secondary before they go pro?
Oh, all right. Let me talk about volleyball. Like I told you, volleyball was not the biggest thing. So if you wanted to go anywhere else, you had to go through post-secondary education, right? Again, I'm gonna go back to her because she's our most recent Jamaican on the D1 circuit, but we've had a couple. So we've had a couple who have come to the US, who have studied at institutions here, and who have gone on to play international ball. For us, yes, this was a necessary stop, because volleyball, again, nobody was coming to Jamaica to look at a volleyball player. You know what I mean? So we had to come and get this exposure in order to move on. And so that's the route that we take. Now, in other sports, not so much, right? Because track and field, everybody going there to look for something next to Usain Bolt, right? And even within this conference, there's so many Jamaicans right here. There's so many Jamaicans here for track and field. So there are more opportunities for those athletes. So they don't necessarily, although a lot of them do come to post-secondary institutions prior to going on, they don't have to. Because if they have what it takes, they'll come get them. They can go straight into the pro level. So it kind of just depends on the sport. But for us, yeah, this is a necessary stop on our journey.
Okay. So, like on the and I know we're talking about pro a lot now, but but do you coach your players to a point where, let's say, soon as they finish playing for you, that they could go into coaching if they want to do that versus playing?
Many of them do, actually. I have so many players right now who are coaches, like at the high school, or who are coaching at the club level, the junior club level. Yes, and like I told you, even this year, taking that step back, so many of them are ready because they had to coach themselves, to a certain extent, rather than, and as you know, I'm an educator as well. And I don't believe in just pouring into empty barrels. You know what I mean? I feel like people should be able to explore and learn and, use critical thinking skills, that kind of stuff. So, and one of my practices, what you'll do is you'll hear a lot of questions. So do you really think that was the best choice? Well, no, just a moment. Let me stop that. I think I stopped that. Okay. Yeah. Do you think that was the best choice? That was the best decision you could have made at that point? Well, why not? What other stuff would have influenced that decision? So they're able to think through the game, and so they're able to pass that on. And it's been really funny because, they come back, they're like, oh God, coach, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, for what? I see what I put you through. I see what I put you through. I'm so sorry. So they're going out there, they're coaching these kids, and they're seeing themselves in those little girls that they're coaching. But what they're also saying is they're telling me, these are the things that we're able to carry into our coaching. And that's just so fulfilling and so rewarding. So yes, many of my players are actually actively coaching right now.
Okay. And I guess that's part of my coaching philosophy. It took me, I guess, a couple years when I first started coaching to realize it, because like I said, I'm a track and field coach by
Mm-hmm.
profession, and so my first year full time, I was at the meets coaching, and then my second year I went to a different program, and they had a different philosophy, and so philosophy there was, well, we do all the coaching during the practices leading up to the meets. And then, we get to the meets. I'm not coaching you. I might tell you what order that you're going to run during the relays, or something like that. But during the meet, I'm not coaching you. You go out there and do what you've been taught to do. And so I've had that, and I know other coaches who've done some of the same things as you, that like you did this year, where they coach their team early in the year, or start doing the preseason then early in the year before their first matches, to the point where they just go out and perform. In fact, one, it was a coach that you and I talked about earlier, her last year in her first program, she left that program early, or during that year, and they had assistant coaches who knew nothing about volleyball, and that team still won the conference regular season, then won the conference tournament, just like they were doing when she was there.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. And that's the thing. When you empower your athletes, you're not as important on the sideline. And that's what I found this year, is that, you know, I'm so used to, when somebody makes a mistake, they're looking at me on the bench. Um, this year, they made a mistake, they just kept going. We'd be down 10 points, and I just sit there like this. I'd be like, timeout. They come and I'm sitting there like this. And they talk about it because they're the ones playing, right? The players on the bench, they're the ones who are seeing this stuff. So I'll just keep my ear open, make sure they hit all the important points, and then let them go right back out. Um, and they do what they need to do. So yeah, empowering them is really, really important. And I was talking with my girls, and one of the things that I did want to implement is using spring semester to actually have them coach um, girls in the community who are interested in volleyball, because I think that when you're able to coach the sport, you become a better player. And even my peers who are coaches now come back. When they come back and they're playing on the court, I'm like, well, where was all of that when you were playing for me? They're like, well. but this is stuff that they got a greater understanding of because they were now coaching. So, like this past season, I brought my daughter and a couple of her friends, and I was like, okay, coach them, teach them how to do this skill. And then it was funny because they'd be teaching them, and then they'd be like, oh, coach, I see what you're saying. So that's what you're saying I was doing. Yeah, that's exactly it. So it stuck seeing that and understand. It just helped them tremendously. So that is something that, I'm looking to keep going on a greater scale, is just using that spring semester, maybe on Saturdays, bring some girls in, y'all coach them up, you know, and that would also be a way of contributing to our community and of giving back to our sport, building up our sport here in our own community.
Okay. So now, excuse me, your coach, your girls know the principles. They're able to translate those principles to others.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give an example of, besides what you were talking about, when you call the timeout and they come back to the bench and everything, and besides, them coaching, excuse me, the young ladies, how do you translate that to them during the lead up before they actually start playing in these matches?
Well, one of the things that I stress to my girls is that um, playing the game doesn't just start when you hit the court, right? Everything that you do will influence the outcome of when you actually get into a game situation. So we try to establish a culture of um, working hard, of critical thinking, of evaluating yourself and evaluating the game. So my girls have to watch film. They have to come back and tell me what they saw. They have to look at themselves, right? Not just as spectators. They can't just watch the game as spectators. They have to look at themselves and they have to see, okay, they have to come back and they have to analyze that and come back and tell me, well, this is what I saw, and we'll have a discussion based on that. And we started that even in our preseason practices. So I'd have a video camera and I had a projector, right? And we did that even in the spring. And so we would do stuff in practice and we'd film it, and then we'd take a break, we'd run over to the projector, we'd look at it, and they'd be like, oh, okay, so that's what I need to fix. Okay, and then we'd go back. So they had that immediate feedback, you know what I mean? And they could see themselves and they could make a better, they could fix it a little bit more easily and a little bit more quickly. So that stuff that starts before we actually get to the game is teaching them to assess themselves, teaching them to look at the game from a coach's perspective, not just a player's perspective, teaching them to look at the game from both sides of the court. So we're not just looking at what we're doing. Let's look at what they're doing. Or we're not just looking at what they're doing. Let's look at what we're doing. Let's look at, what we're doing that somebody could take advantage of. Okay, so how do we fix that? You know what I mean? So they're doing that kind of critical thinking early on. And so when we get to the game, it's a whole lot easier. So all of that does start even before we step foot on the court, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, technology is a wonderful thing, and I think the more coaches embrace it, the more they will see it as a tool versus a hindrance, or I know some of the older coaches might not want to do what you do as far as the filming and everything, but there's definitely advantages to doing that. And like you said, for them to learn and to see and then be able to put that into situational awareness on the court. That's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so transitioning from that, you are an educator.
Mm-hmm.
And so what can you tell us about the academics there at Fayetteville State?
All right. Well, Fayetteville State University, our academic programs are exceptional. Our academic programs are nationally and internationally accredited. Our programs, our education program is one of the best in the state. We prepare so many teachers who serve, or not just our community, but communities that surround us. So we're really, really critical. And of course, Fayetteville State was founded as a teacher's college, right? So we're the cornerstone of the university. And our other programs, our business program, they're AACSB accredited. They've been ranked so many times as the best this, the best online program, the best MBA for your money, the best, yes, just all kinds of superlatives and accolades. And our nursing program, one of the best in the state. One of the youngest and one of the best. So our programs are quality programs, or criminal justice program. Everything. What we focus on here at Fayetteville State is excellence. But we're not one of those universities that, you come, you go to class, you leave, you're in the big lecture hall. No, I know my students by their first name, we're that close-knit of a community. So you have that interaction with the faculty and staff. You get to know the people here at Fayetteville State, so you don't feel like you're alone, especially when you're far from home. Within athletics, that has been a major focus, is ensuring that our student athletes are successful in their academics, because we believe that the student comes before the athlete for a reason, right? They're here to get an education. They're here to learn. They're here to graduate and move on. So that for me is really big. And even my players, they know that. They know, okay, yeah, I'm an educator first. So we're going to do this education thing first, and then we'll concentrate on this volleyball thing, because not one of you will leave here with a degree in volleyball. So, let's take care of what we need to take care of. So our academics, like I said, is just exceptional. We have a first-class education here at Fayetteville State. I graduated from Fayetteville State twice. It's so nice I did it twice, right? So and I'm here. What you'll find at Fayetteville State also is that so many of us are alumni of the university. So we're really invested in what goes on here. This is our university, and we want to make sure that the people who come here are comfortable and have what they need. They're supported to be successful.
So your athletes really don't have a choice as far as being successful in the classroom because of your background and your current occupation.
Exactly. And I try to beat it into them that, it's not even about that. It's about life after volleyball, because some of them, their focus is on staying eligible. Nah, it's not even about staying eligible. It's about doing what you're supposed to do. It's about staying on track to graduate. You don't want to be somewhere for 4, 5, 6 years and leave with nothing, but debt. And that's what I don't want. You see the whole debt situation in the nation now. And I don't want my girls to leave here saddled with debt, and especially saddled with debt with no degree. Oh, no, not at all.
So have you been able to use that as a selling point for recruits, that your position as an educator, and when you're talking to parents, maybe, that, hey, I put a premium on the work in the classroom, and does that kind of figure into your recruiting pitch, and then do parents stand behind you on that?
Oh, absolutely. When you said my recruiting pitch, I was like, them girls don't care, but those parents those parents do care that I have a background in education. These girls are thinking, oh my gosh, I want to go to college to play volleyball. Their parents are the one thinking, no, you're going to go to college and get a degree. So yes, that is a part of what I explained to my parents, is that, that is my focus. Your students is going to come here. We're not going to just beat volleyball into them. They're going to come here and do what they came here to do. And I have gotten tremendous support from my parents in that respect. So, and once the girls get here, they appreciate it. They like that they're able to call me and be like, look, coach, I need you to help me with this. And I can help them, because I was a professional advisor for a couple of years as well, so I might be a little bit rusty, but I can help you. And if I can't help you, I sure know who to call to help you, right? So they like that they have me as a resource for just about anything. I've been on this campus so long. I mean, they can ask me just about anything. They call me and ask me financial aid questions. I'm like, come on, what are y'all doing? Financial aid office is over there. But, I can give them general advice, and I can at least tell them, what kinds of questions to ask, which office to ask the questions of, that kind of stuff. So yes, in my recruiting, it goes a long way, especially with those parents. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we get ready to wrap up, just a couple of tidbits.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to say to those student athletes who are looking for a home, especially volleyball, what would you like to say to them right
Just, keep your options open. There are two things I'd like to say, and I know the first one is going to sound mean. It's going to sound really mean, right? But the first thing I want to say is um, honestly evaluate yourself. Honestly evaluate yourself. And then two, keep your options open, right? Like I tell you, everybody wants to go D1. You know, um, you may not be a D1 player, honey. You may get into a D1, you may even get on a D1 team, but you may not be a D1 player, honey, right? And then you might be a D1 player, but D1 might not be a fit for you, honey. So just truly evaluating yourself and keeping your options open. This is really what I want to impart to potential student athletes. Don't close yourself off. Just like when you're going to college, right? You have your dream school, right? You have your safe school. You have your school in between. Yeah, so you're applying to a range of college. Yeah, this is where you'd like to be, right? And then if not, this is an area where I think I'll be competitive. And then I know I'll definitely get into these. You want to do the same thing with your recruiting options. You don't want to just be focused on D1. You want to make sure that you are focused on your options and figure out what your best fit is.
now? Well, there are a number of athletes who have excelled in at the D2 level, and like I said, being a former coach, coaching at a D3, I ran into the exact same thing, and athletes who clearly were not D1 athletes, thinking that they can get into an SEC program. And it's like, no, I don't think that's going to be a good. That won't work there. It'll work here, and I can get you to a point where you could be successful, but at the SEC school, you're talking about walking on. They're not even going to let you walk on. They're not even going to give you a tryout.
That's
So
right.
you might want to try someplace, especially you want to leave home. You might want to try someplace where you can get on, where they're giving you an offer and every, excuse me,
And
and
where you can
everything.
grow. And then, one of the other things that I've seen a lot of is I've seen a lot of like nursing majors, for instance, who leave D1 because what they want to do is nursing, but nursing clashes with volleyball. And those coaches are not understanding. They're like, no, you on a volleyball scholarship, that's what you're going to do. The rest you're going to have to figure out. And that's not the approach I take. My approach is you're going to be a nurse when you leave here. So if there's something you need to do for nursing, then you need to, one of your teammates better step up if you're not here. That's how I feel about that. Um, and so that's what I want these potential student athletes to know is know your fit, know what you want to do, and know your fit.
Uh, well, as we get ready to wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
um, is there anyone who you would like to shout out? Whether it's other coaches, people on your staff, your athletes, your administrators, people
Oh, you're
back
not gonna
home.
get me caught up in that because I'm gonna start shouting out people. I'm gonna forget somebody, and then and then somebody gonna have me hemmed up outside. So I'm like, you didn't call my name. You're not gonna get me. I would just like to give a shout out to everybody who has supported this program in one way or another. There's so many people. I don't want to start listing names or listing groups, but everybody, you know who you are. Without you, this program would not be successful. So thank you.
Well, I guess everyone learns from those big award programs like the Grammys and the Emmys
Mm-hmm.
and all that, where they get up there. Of course, the first thing, they, oh, I thank God, and then they
Yes.
start running down this list of names, and they're gonna miss somebody
Yes.
because they only
Oh
have so
no.
much time.
We're not getting hemmed up that way. I just want to show to everybody who has played a part in this program in whichever way,
Okay,
because we're only successful because of our support system.
right, Right. Well, Coach, this has been an enjoyable interview, and I look forward to definitely talking to you again and interviewing you again in the future. And we want to congratulate you once again on your successes for this year, and we wish for you, many more in the future.
Thank you so very much.
And we're looking to see you in the NCAA championship at some point, sometime soon.
On TV. I'm just kidding. Well, thank you, and I'm really excited about you providing this platform for us, and this exposure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, that's no problem. And I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to Adrian Ferguson, the assistant athletic director for sports information. Adrian set everything up, coordinated the interview, and I was, very grateful. And Adrian's name will be in the credits. So
there you go.
So with that, thank you very much, Coach, for the interview, and we will definitely continue our relationship with you and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Same here. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about young shakes. 502 represent.